Hello people, friends, and pets. Today, I'm going to tell you a story. A vampire meets a woman on a cruise ship and falls in love. But the vampire's arch-nemesis shows up to make things worse. How would the vampire and his family get out of this one? Stay tuned and find out. Back in 1897, Dracula and his friends travel in disguise on a train to Budapest. However, Dracula's arch-nemesis Professor Abraham Van Helsing boards the train and unveils the monsters. The monsters escape by climbing through the roof, and Dracula pushes his friends off the train for their safety. Van Helsing becomes obsessed with destroying Dracula, but is constantly outsmarted by him. In the present day, Dracula is running his hotel business smoothly. Well, kinda smoothly. He runs the hotel with his daughter Mavis and son-in-law Johnny. Dracula is depressed that he has remained single since his wife Martha's death, despite his attempts to meet someone. Misinterpreting this as stress from overwork, Mavis books a surprise cruise so they can all take a break and spend more time together as a family. Dracula, Johnny, Mavis, their son Denisovich, Dracula's father Vlad, and the hotel guests board a cruise ship called Legacy. Dracula sees the ship's human captain, Ericka, and immediately falls in love with her at first sight, something that he thought was impossible as he had already zinged before. Ericka goes to a private and secret room on the lower decks, where she meets Abraham Van Helsing, secretly her great-grandfather. Van Helsing has almost entirely mechanized his body to avoid death, and has a plan to eliminate all the monsters. On the cruise's arrival at the lost city of Atlantis, he will use an instrument of destruction in Atlantis ruins. Van Helsing makes Ericka promise to not assassinate Dracula beforehand, but she makes repeated unsuccessful attempts to do so anyway. Dracula's friends hear Ericka complain about her inability to get him and misinterpret this as a sign of affection. Dracula nervously asks Ericka out on a date, and she accepts since she sees this as another opportunity to slay him. As they dine on a deserted island, Ericka unexpectedly begins to fall in love with Dracula after they learn about each other's pasts about losing their loved ones. For Dracula, it was his beloved wife Martha, and for Ericka, it was her parents. Mavis discovers Dracula is interested in Ericka and becomes suspicious of Ericka's motives. The cruise ship reaches Atlantis, which has been converted into a casino. Dracula decides to tell Mavis the truth about Ericka, but gets distracted seeing Ericka enter an underground crypt. Dracula follows her, with Mavis not far behind, and learns that Ericka is after a family heirloom. With Dracula's help, she evades the booby traps around the object and escapes. Mavis arrives and confronts them, and Dracula confesses that he zinged with Ericka, to Mavis' surprise and confusion. After Ericka is told what a zing is, her inner guilt about lying to Dracula forces her to reject Dracula's feelings for her, leaving Dracula heartbroken and leaving Mavis feeling guilty. A regretful Ericka gives Van Helsing the object, the instrument of destruction, and he sets a trap for the monsters at a dance party. Noticing that Dracula is still depressed about Ericka, Mavis takes advice from Johnny and tells her father to talk to Ericka, admitting that she was afraid of him leaving her, which allays Dracula's fears. Van Helsing shows up and pushes away the DJ, and a saddened Ericka is forced to reveal that she is his great-granddaughter. Van Helsing unveils the instrument of destruction, a case for a music note sheet, and plays a song that drives a friendly kraken living near the island to attack the monsters. Dracula tries to stop the kraken, but gets injured. Ericka saves Dracula from the kraken and pleads with her great-grandfather to stop the destruction, confessing her love for Dracula. This infuriates Van Helsing, and he attacks them both. To pacify the kraken, Johnny opens up a portable DJ kit and plays positive songs to beat Van Helsing's song. Upon playing the Macarena, the kraken is relaxed and happy for good. Van Helsing is unable to counter the song as the humans and monsters begins to dance, including the music sheet, which rips itself to pieces during the process. When Van Helsing also dances, he accidentally slips and falls, but Dracula saves him. Touched by the act of kindness, Van Helsing apologizes to the monsters and gives everybody a full refund for the cruise before sending them back. Back at Hotel Transylvania, Dracula proposes to Ericka, who gets tongue-tied at the question before accepting. Now, that's all folks. I hope you had a good time watching this. See you again. Good night.